Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hey, I'm John.
And I'm Kevin.
And this is 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger, the podcast where we take a long, hard look at some of our favorite action movies from the era of Arnold.
Schwarzenegger is the icon of the genre, and we're taking a deep dive into some of these 80s and 90s cult action movies and breaking them all the way down.
We're going to get into the nitty-gritty and examine the good, the bad, the ugly, and the laughable in these movies.
But, as always, we're coming at it from a place of love. You don't watch these movies as much as we have unless you have a genuine affection for them.
What is up, everybody?
Hello, dear listeners. I'm here too.
Kevin's here. He is here. He's present. He's in the room.
We're joined in Atlanta, balmy Atlanta.
Yeah, we're having unseasonable warm weather right now.
Our most recurring guest at this point, Andrew.
Ooh, I have that title now.
You do.
Yeah.
I'm very proud to claim it. I'm excited to be
welcome
here.
to Atlanta.
This is my first time getting to record with you gentlemen in person.
That's right. It's a momentous occasion, and we decided what better way to celebrate Andrew being with us than by reviewing a classic piece of shit. 1994's Street Fighter. Welcome to the party, you guys.
Yes. I think Andrew and I are like movie soulmates because you always come on for the most like unhinged movies and they're always the funnest to talk about as well.
I recently rewatched it to get ready, and I still kind of like this movie. Like it has its problems, but yeah, an unhinged movie is right up my alley.
And this movie is nothing if not that. Just it's all over the place.
I'm on I have peaks and valleys with this movie, and I'm on a peak right now. I like it again. I've loved it and I've hated it, and now I love it again.
I have to say, having watched it now after not having seen it in years, it's not as bad as I remember it being even as a 12-year-old.
See, but one of the weird things to me, though, is that there are so many things that it should be otherwise. There are so many different things that it should be instead of what it is. And maybe that's why I like it, or maybe that's why it interests me to be like, look at this train wreck.
I know. It's like there will be a lot to talk about as we work our way through. There's so much shit that happened.
Were we all fans of the video game growing up?
Oh, yeah. It was probably my favorite video game. But
Definitely
I had the Sega Genesis version.
Ooh, us too.
So I didn't have a version that featured T-Hawk and Cammy.
Yeah,
right.
That was a Super
the
NES
Champion
version.
edition, which featured you could play as the 4 villain characters.
Right,
sure. Yeah.
But you didn't get the new challengers.
That was the Super Street Fighter 2 for the Super Nintendo that we had, and that's which I bought the original cartridge a few months back,
we
and we broke that out
here
one night.
Oh man, you mean I've been here this whole time and we haven't played Street Fighter to prepare for this?
The night, and by the day is young, and so we'll get into it later. But
did you bring
this
it?
was
No,
I didn't bring it with me. Maybe later on. But yeah, this was my jam. Who's favorite character? Your favorite Street Fighter character?
Just to play as?
Yeah.
I like to bounce around. I actually enjoyed playing as Bison.
Okay.
Bison had an interesting set of moves that I liked to
play. Are you a fan of the Psycho Crusher? Your blue
Psycho
fire?
Crusher, yeah. That move where he would just stomp on your skull was pretty
the one
rad.
where he'd flap in the air
and the air and just 2 feet
cross
right
his
down.
arms.
Yeah, and he'd stand there. And then my secondary character that I would play, I liked Blanca. I'm a button masher, so I'm not any good at knowing the moves a lot of times. I just want to stand there and be electrified, so that the computer just keeps running into me and getting shocked to hell.
I would sometimes play as Bison. I do feel like it was easiest to win the game playing as Bison because it's just hard to fight against Bison. But then the character I would play the most was probably Sagat.
Ooh,
I liked playing with him. I love the Muay Thai style. From my kickboxer love.
Yeah, I was a Ryu guy.
Ryu. And then I would also play as Honda because Honda was kind of easy to win with because you just do that 100-hand slap over and over and you can't the opponents can't get through. It can't get past you.
Well, that infinite bitch slap, like you were like a
the
long way away.
Bitch slap. I love it. Yeah. Grew up playing this game tons and tons and tons.
I feel like it was my most played game.
That game, this movie is not.
No, not at all. It
not even
barely resembles the video game, other than the names of the characters.
And it is chock full of them. Yeah,
even those people don't necessarily resemble who they are supposed to be.
Right, exactly. Tell us a little bit about this film, Kevin.
Well, it was written and directed by one Steven D'Souza,
who we love.
Yeah, he wrote Die Hard, wrote Commando, wrote 48 Hours and The Running Man.
Yep.
This is like the only big movie that he's ever directed. Probably because no one was going to let him direct another movie after this.
I think maybe he himself stepped back and said, I have a very particular set of skills, and I don't want to do this ever again.
And then he followed this movie up by writing Judge Dredd, Stallone's Judge Dredd, which is then I think his career sort of was a little less, he was less actively working after we know how Hollywood is. If you have a couple of sort of disappointments in a row, that can just end a career.
That's a life and a career with a steep cliff.
For sure.
You're up on that peak, and then,
I think he's starting to work a little bit more again now, so good for him. The world needs him.
Totally. And he's not, he's, early 60s, so, he's doing all right.
Yeah.
You guys are the experts. Would you say that is because of the stars that he worked with on those two final, disastrous films? Maybe that's not
you want to blame it on Stallone and Van Damme?
I'm interested to know if that is a consequence of he didn't have true creative direction and therefore he gets a bad rap.
That could be because we know Stallone's a big diva.
Right.
And I think Van Damme was a diva by this point in his career where it could be I'm just going to say what I want to say, and I'll go off the script a little bit. I can improve this. We know Stallone thinks he should rewrite everything that someone else has written.
Yeah. And I think, if we're talking 40-something-year-old D'Souza at this time, who's been just straight crushing it for a decade or so by the time this movie rolls around, again, he probably works with the studio. He works with Capcom, who just hamstrung him, and he's working with these personalities, and he's probably you know what? I'm going to take a break for a while because he probably didn't need the money at this point.
Yeah, I don't envy his role with this film.
No, agreed.
So as John just mentioned, it's produced by Capcom, the video game company, which makes sense. Also, there was an American producer involved, Edward R. Pressman, who's produced some amazing things.
Amazing stuff.
He produced Badlands, Terrence Malick's Badlands, which is great, but he had produced Wall Street. He produced The Crow, American Psycho, Conan the Barbarian.
That ill-fated Island of Dr. Moreau was also one of his.
He's done some bad shit, too, such as Conan the Destroyer.
Yeah, right.
Masters of the Universe was his. And Judge Dredd was him. And Island of Dr. Moreau, which was as train wrecks go, it was on par with this movie, I think. But if you're a producer of movies that are that fucked, that's sort of where it does fall. That's your job as the producer, is to keep the ship afloat and moving in the right direction. And it seems like he didn't always do that.
Right.
We had starring Jean-Claude Van Damme at the peak of his stardom and addiction. Substance abuse problems for Van Damme at this point, which had resonated and affected the finished product here.
Right. As Colonel William F. Guile, as American as the day is long.
Guile's a funny one for me, as I was maybe 7 when Street Fighter came out, and my brother and I thought up and down that his name was Guile.
Bill Guile.
Phonetically, whose name is Guile? That's dumb.
None of these characters had full names in the video game, right?
I think they maybe in the instruction manual that gave the little backstories. Okay. Ryu was just Ryu. I think that they elsewhere they do call him Ken Masters, but I feel you have to get into wiki stuff to find that shit out.
The Ken Masters stuck after the movie.
Really?
They decided from now on he'll be Ken Masters.
This is canon. He's Masters.
There was one other character whose last name stuck, and I can't remember who it is now. But
it always was Edmund Honda. I think.
Oh, really?
I remember that being.
But wasn't he Evan in this movie?
No, I think in this movie. I don't know what he was in this movie.
I think he was Edmund in this.
Okay, maybe it just sounded. The transfer I was watching was the shittiest DVD I've ever seen in my life. Also starring Raul Julia.
R.I.P.
As General M. Bison.
Matthew Bison. Michael.
Michael Bison.
Mordecai Bison.
Ooh, Mordecai's a good one.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah.
Who had, of course, a career we all know about, the Addams Family films. Started out as like a stage guy.
I love the story
that actor
randomly discovered by Orson Bean.
That I didn't know. Who's Orson Bean?
Orson Bean, in my mind, I most remember him for being the voice of Bilbo Baggins in the Rankin Bass The Hobbit animated movie. But he was primarily a stage actor. He had like a lot of success as a stage actor, and then made lots of TV later on in life too. But he apparently saw Raul Julia performing in Puerto Rico and was like, "You should move to the mainland and get good at English and become a huge star."
His voice is.
It's amazing.
Tremendously powerful in this.
Raul Julia,
even though he is fucking dying.
Oh, it's very sad.
When I looked him up, I was like, oh, surely I guess he comes from the British stage or something, because his voice work is just incredible.
Yeah.
He like nailed that accent that he was doing.
It's just
Bison.
big.
Also stars Ming-Na Wen as Chun-Li Zhang.
Right.
Who I didn't realize she's been out here doing her thing for forever.
She's been destroying it.
She looks incredible. Like, she's in The Mandalorian now.
And she's Book of Boba Fett.
She doesn't look much older than she looked in this movie.
She looks exactly the same.
Nice. I remember her. She was the voice of Mulan in the Mulan cartoon.
Oh, cool.
I saw that.
Yeah, she was on. I remember her from ER back in the day. Like, she was one of the doctors on ER.
She's apparently going to be in a Gremlin series that's getting ready to come out next year.
What? I'm here for that.
Yeah.
Is it like a reboot or?
No, it's like a TV. Like multi-episode deal.
I'm into that. I love Gremlins. It's Christmas time.
That's right.
I need to get out my Gremlins DVD and watch that shit. We had Wes Studi as Sagat.
What exactly in the fuck is up with that casting? I love Wes Studi.
Oh, dude, he's amazing. But he's not a 7 foot tall Thailand guy.
No.
Who is? Was he? Just seems clearly inspired by Tong Po. If the game came after that film, I'm not really sure.
Did.
Okay.
I think,
even like Street Fighter 1 came out?
Street Fighter 1 came out in 87, I looked up.
Ooh, so that might have been like right on about the same time. But yeah, he was like this video game character. I love it. Tiger,
uppercut.
Tiger, knee.
Tiger. Don't edit any of this out.
Wes Studi, I don't know about the casting, and I love Wes Studi.
Same.
Dude, Last of the Mohicans, Dances with Wolves, Heat.
He is amazing, and I love him. I love everything he's in.
He was great in this movie.
Yeah.
He just wasn't a 7 foot tall Muay Thai fighter.
No. But we still love him. Yeah. Wes, if you're listening, thank you.
Oh, dude.
For your contribution.
As always, I can only assume he's listening. But yeah, I love Wes Studi. He is awesome. He turned in he gave his all to this movie. I felt like he was all in on giving the best performance he could give.
Yeah, there's a handful of people that really commit to this, and a handful of people that this is a paycheck, and I'm just going to do as I'm told.
Yep, absolutely.
I'll put Kylie Minogue in the I'm all in category.
Yeah, she
killed it.
She did a great job.
She is she came out of Australian soap operas. Apparently.
I didn't. Yeah, I have no except for the ooh la la or whatever the song is. Did you say
la
that?
La 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 la.
Yeah, that's the only.
And she looks hot in that video. Even though it's 10 years later.
She was gorgeous. She went from, I assumed she was a musician who then was branching into acting, but I think she was an actor who ended up doing some singing.
She's on that Disney Channel plan.
Yeah. But did you read the story about how she was found?
She was on the cover of a magazine, right?
Yeah. Basically, what I read was D'Souza was on the flight to Thailand to start filming, and I guess Capcom had told him, hey, you need to rewrite the script and stick the character of Cammy in.
Who?
And he's like, what the fuck? So he's like, give me some magazines, celebrity magazines from Australia. And she was on the cover of Australian People or something. And he's like, oh, she'll do.
Fine.
Close enough.
She was great though. Yeah,
fine.
I love it.
Sign her up. Yeah. Get her over here.
What are the odds of actually getting somebody worthwhile to do that based on a magazine headshot choice?
I think he probably called her and said, look, Capcom's going to give you some serious scratch to come do this.
You want to be in a big Hollywood movie?
It's not going to be as much as Van Damme's making, but it'll be a lot. Plus, you can fuck Van Damme.
You can climb all over him like a jungle gym.
I also want to point out Roshan Seth as Dalzim, who played Chatar Lal, excuse me, who was the Maharaja's major domo in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Right.
And
I loved him. And he was in like a Gandhi or
he wasn't in the Ben Kingsley Gandhi move. I don't know. Maybe
I've seen him in a lot of shit.
Yeah,
he's awesome. He's always awesome.
Yeah,
there's a lot of I figured I don't know if we have time to go through every bodies in there. We can try to mention them as we come because some of them are like guys you've never seen before and never saw again.
There are about 30 other people we'll get into later, but Jesus Christ, there are a lot of people in this movie.
A lot of named characters, some of whom don't even probably barely have any dialogue in the whole thing.
No.
Did you research the composer
Graham Revell, the composer who did some music for some awesome movies?
He's a New Zealander, so he's from down that way.
From down South America
hemisphere. Southern Hemisphere.
He was busy in the 90s, and if you guys have never seen the Val Kilmer movie The Saint that he did the music for, that movie's awesome. And that score is awesome.
I was thinking, like, I was going through his credits, and I was like, these are some good movies, The Crow and From Dusk Till Dawn. And he did the music for Tank Girl.
Yeah, that movie is awesome.
I can't, none of those movies could I recall what the score sounded like.
No.
So I'm like saying, he was like one of these other dudes. If like Silvestri and Zimmer and those guys are all busy, like he's the second or third tier.
Right.
He makes a passable score, but a forgettable score.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's very serviceable.
Right. Did you catch the movie had 5 editors?
5 editors?
5 different credited editors? That's a problem.
I read up on Bill Fraker, the DP.
Okay.
Who's the DP on Bullet.
Oh, shit. He goes way back, too?
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Tombstone, Rosemary's Baby, and also that Island of Dr. Moreau.
All right.
Which, say what you will about how much of a train wreck it was, it looked good.
Oh, the movie, yeah.
I feel like this movie looks pretty good. Like, I don't feel like I had any issues with the way that it looked.
No.
Did you have issues with the way it was edited?
Yes. Which one of those 5 guys is responsible?
If I were to list off the things that I think needed fixing first, though, I don't think editing would be in my top 5.
Wait, what's number 1 then?
Story.
Okay.
Yeah, a plot.
Fair. Fair.
Yeah, general treatment of the characters, I think, is an interesting take in some regards.
Speaking of the plot,
let's get down to it. Yeah. So, like we were saying, this movie has nothing to do with the video game, and apparently you were saying that it was like a 1-day turnaround on a pitch to the studio,
basically,
right?
I think it was just slapped together, right?
Yeah, and it feels that way.
That feel.
And D'Souza, we feel like, was also getting pressure to make a G.I. Joe selling movie, and so this ends up being a war movie, not at all like the Street Fighter that you know and love, but it starts with the old school Universal Studios globe and music, and then all of a sudden this loud house like and the low brass kicks in, and it's like very martial sounding snare drum, and then the globe gets encased in what looks like a set of aviator wings, and then almost immediately Jean-Claude's name pops up on the screen, and then Raul Julia, and then that stylized font that we all know and love for Street Fighter pops up. So
I feel like this was an early example of like manipulating the studio animation. Like, it's like now I feel like I couldn't 50% of movies have that on front. Something will be different, the color or the logo.
I couldn't think of anything that we've watched because I was so interested when seeing it. I was like, I don't think anything we've watched so far has done that, where the logo becomes part of the...
The only one that I could think of beforehand would be Indiana Jones, where
in Temple of Doom,
the Paramount Mountain fades into a mountain every time.
On the gong.
They all do it every time.
Yeah, you're right.
The first one starts off, and so
do you remember Crystal Skull?
Crystal Skull, I think, goes into a
prairie
molehill.
Dog. It was like a prairie dog hill. It's like, this is some bullshit.
Which really set the tempo for how that movie was going to turn out.
Absolutely.
Bad. So, we get an effect that looks like TV snow, and then we launch into a TV newscast for global news television interspersed with the rest of the opening credits. A newscaster's queuing up a special segment called Crisis in Shadaloo, which I remember as being Shadow Law, and I looked it up, and in the game it was Shadow Law.
Oh, really?
But it was someone's phonetic boneheaded mistake. It should have been Shadaloo, but somebody writing the thing spelled it as Shadow Law because they didn't understand what someone was saying. So the anchor's telling us that there's a civil war in Shadaloo and that they've reached a turning point, and that because the capital has fallen, so Shadaloo City has fallen,
which is a fictional country, of course.
Yeah, that they say is in Asia.
They showed the map, and it was like on the spot where Myanmar/Burma is.
Right,
and it definitely has some like Vietnam sort of feels with Ho Chi Minh City, Shadaloo City, kind of like
agreed.
Yeah. They filmed in Thailand, of course, and if it was where they plopped it on the map was adjacent to Thailand and Laos, and that whole Southeast Asia area.
So after this montage of international newscasts all reporting on the Civil War, they cut to GTN's Chun-Li Zhang reporting from Shadaloo City, and she tells us that AN, which is this movie's version of the UN, the Allied nations, are consolidating their hold on the capital. She also says Shadaloo is in Southeast Asia and that it's a key port. But she says it's not time to celebrate just yet because the heavily armed forces of one Minnesota Bison are laying in wait for the AN. We cut to some big-ass command center where Bison is in some kind of a floating platform and watching Chun-Li's report. She says that AN forces know they're dealing with a power-mad dictator with an army and high-tech weapons that he bought with proceeds from his drug empire.
What was his backstory in the games?
Drugs.
Was he a drug lord turned... whatever, he wants to take over the world.
Yeah.
So I wrote down the original game plot because I feel like this is a point we're going to reference and talk about often. The leader of the Shadaloo organization, M. Bison, in his global domination plan, sets up a world fighting tournament to select the best fighters to work in his organization through brainwashing. So it feels similar to some of the other films, like especially Bloodsport, with a like underground tournament.
Kumite.
And then we get into some brainwashing later on, but like, it's not a great world domination plan.
It's terrible.
You just get a few good street fighters.
It's no better than the one that we get.
It's a slow burn,
but it is
on Bison's part.
Yeah, I mean that seems like a lot of effort to bring together a bunch of different people into a street fighting tournament to decide, hey, you're good enough to join my army. Now I have to brainwash you into doing it.
It's a lot of work.
See, I can see where D'Souza might have thought, like, what's a convenient way to have a bunch of these like international fighters like in the same place? Where he's like, well, what if it was like a United Nations type force?
Yeah,
but then we never actually get the street fighting.
No,
like that's where they drop the ball.
Street fighting.
There's an awful big dearth of street fighting in the Street Fighter movie.
That's a problem. That's a miscalculation.
Yeah.
One of the weird things, like the planting of Shadaloo in Southeast Asia, is that Bison, on one side of this civil war, is 100% not Southeast Asian origin.
Yeah, we don't know where he's supposed to be from, right? And in the games, I feel like it was always like sort of a mystery. Or
if you've ever watched any of the Street Fighter anime movies, his nationality is very vague as well. Okay. And it's almost as though
that works for me.
There's like a supernatural element to his character, like cyber, like he's like a cyborg or something.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff going on. He's got a very like Hitler vibe of the way that he looks, but making it a civil war, it's like, okay, you committed him to being a resident or some sort of connection to this area, but we're not going to explain it. That was an odd choice for me.
It was a strange choice. Chun-Li then says that Bison took 63 AN relief workers hostage for a ransom of $20 billion and that no one knows where the hostages are. She also says that 12 AN workers were killed and 3 are missing. As she's saying all this, we get a first good look at Bison soldiers who are all wearing like what amounts to Darth Vader helmets. They're also very reminiscent of Skeletor's soldiers. To me.
They were just generic stormtroopers.
Yeah. Anyway,
faceless villains.
Right. They're throwing hostages down in this pit in Bison's command center.
That shit would be like breaking bones.
Yeah, their legs would be snapping.
I thought I heard a Wilhelm scream when someone got past
there's definitely one.
Okay.
It's here we also get a first look at Zangief, played by Andrew Benyarsky, and that's all we know about that guy.
Well, he's been in a few football movies. He was in Any Given Sunday, and in Unnecessary Roughness, and in The Program. And he just had that look, I'm a big jacked dude.
I'm roided up.
For casting based on looks of the characters, he's spot on. He is Zangief in real life.
And he actually gives he doesn't have a lot to do, but he brings that comic relief. He was actually really entertaining.
He was. Zangief pushes a soldier, an AN soldier, towards Bison, who says, "You came from across the world to fight me, soldier. Now's your chance." Dude. Oh, go ahead.
Before we get into that, sorry. There's a couple of other things. So, like the plot-wise, does it seem justified to be having this level of military intervention over 63 people and $20 billion to either of you?
Well, I was wondering, so the AN had just retaken Shadaloo City, which made me wonder, is Bison's army, is there a larger war going on than what we are seeing?
Yeah.
I think there probably is. Like, maybe they were taking over the whole country.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's more than just hostage situation.
Yeah. And $20 billion also seems like a pittance.
So you're saying is that he wasn't asking a lot.
I don't feel like I feel like that they would be like, all right, well, sign a check. Give us those 63 people back, I guess.
But like Guile said, like, then what's to stop him from doing the same thing again next week?
Yeah.
I think it's like
we don't negotiate with terrorists.
Exactly. And I think that this is probably like we don't want to placate Hitler Chamberlain kind of deal. Like, we don't want to give him what he wants.
I also love the sound in the background when he says, hostage pit closing, stand clear. Like they recorded a VO about the hostage pit.
I had that in my notes later when they're like, stand clear of the hostage pit. It's like whoever the voiceover, the actor was, like, within the world of the film, whoever got hired to... we need you to do some recordings that we're going to use. Stand clear of the hostage pit.
Please
what am I doing? What is this movie? Who is this being recorded for?
Is this for Street Fighter?
So the dude throws one punch, misses. Bison grabs him and breaks his neck. So that was that.
That seems to be Bison's one and only
his
move. Is the grab a throat and crush.
Yeah.
Or it's like it's Dalton almost.
Oh, yeah,
that
totally.
Throat out,
Rip the throat out. We cut to Shadaloo City where Chun-Li sees the AN commander rolling up in an armored vehicle. That would be important because we need that to sell toys.
Oh, yeah.
We cut back then to Bison's headquarters. Zangief flings another AN guy at Bison. Yes, your turn now. The guy tries to do a running drop kick, but he ends up flying right into Bison's arms and getting his neck broken also.
Yeah, crushing that throat.
So Chun-Li, meanwhile, back in Shadaloo City, is waving down Colonel Guile, played by your boy JCVD. And the mention of Guile's name on TV immediately get Bison's attention. He's like, whoa, what? Chun-Li asks if she can speak with him, and he says no.
No.
But then she says, don't you want to speak to your world audience? And he's like, no, but I do want the chance to talk to someone. The bastard Bison. Then delivered straight to the camera, he says, I know you like to look at yourself on television, you sick son of a bitch. So look at this. And then he does some weird arm movement. He like flexes and like slaps his muscles.
I thought it was like this thing, like fuck you, like the international sort of like fuck you.
Also, Guile has no idea how a microphone works because he's fucking waving that thing around all over anywhere but pointed at his face.
Yeah. I love the whole like, will you be interviewed? No. And then he snatches the mic. But I do want to talk to someone.
But yes.
Didn't that make you feel like it was like a Hulk Hogan or someone taking the mic from Mean Gene on WWF?
The Macho Man. The Macho Man used to do that shit all the time.
Let me tell you something, brother.
Yeah, so anyway, Bison gets super riled up by all this.
I love that moment, though.
I think he goes 6 to midnight.
Oh, yeah, he does. Bison.
So look at this.
Yeah.
Chun-Li hurriedly grabs the mic back and asks Guile what the fuck he's doing. Then we see Bison order DJ, a Jamaican kickboxer in the game, here relegated to Lieutenant Sulu duty at some console.
No, he
computer programmer.
Yeah.
Why would Capcom insist on having this character in there? He never throws a punch. Like he never fights. Why? Why waste him anyway?
And he was a cool character in the video game.
You liked his
cool
style?
moves, yeah. It's
like Jamaican sort of
like kickboxing, sort of like capoeira stuff a little bit. Like
I don't think he was among the villains either.
No, he was just a new guy.
He was just a hint, like somebody else who joined the tournament.
This movie got real liberal with making good guys bad guys and bad guys from the game good guys, and
like DJ could have been the camera guy, which we'll get into later. But I mean, anyway, so Bison orders DJ to, quote, break in now. And by break in, we see that he means to jam some satellites and relay his own signal so he can deliver a message. In what looks like a TV van, Edmund Honda, played by Peter Navy Tuyososopo, sees Bison's skull logo appear on all the screens, and he starts asking Balrog, who's supposed to be a boxing champion, if you can you believe what you're seeing? And
are you seeing this?
Yeah.
See it, man. I'm filming it or whatever. And it's like, he saw the pirate feed like pop up in the viewfinder of the camera. That's not how shit works.
This, and by Balrog, we're not talking about a demon from the ancient world bested by Gandalf, but we're talking about a G&T cameraman played by Special Agent Johnson from Die Hard, Grand Bush.
Is that who that was?
Yeah, man.
Oh man, I didn't even recognize him.
Notice he put on like some bulk.
Yeah,
he seemed a little beefier. That's awesome.
Special Agent Johnson, no relation.
Also in notably in like Lethal Weapon movies as well. Yeah, he was awesome.
You know what Bison excels at in this movie is branding. That logo is on everything.
Yep.
It's all over, and I'm thinking, hell yeah, he knows what he's doing.
He got a good marketing department.
He knows how to sell.
Totally.
The corporations love me.
Yeah. Oh, what the fuck? So Bison addresses Guile directly. As soon as he starts, Guile whispers in Cammy's ear, that Bison took the bait and they need to trace the signal.
Uh-huh.
Bison asks why Guile addresses a fellow warrior with such disrespect. Guile starts insulting Bison, saying warriors don't kill doctors, nurses, or orphan children. You will choke on those words, Guile. Anytime, dickhead. So
what does that mean? You'll choke? Like he's gonna make him kill doctors and nurses? What? Like
I don't know.
I think there was some dialogue missing from that.
Scripting was an interesting choice.
Yeah. He's like, anytime, dickhead.
Yeah.
So
we'll go worldwide.
Yeah,
anytime. What the fuck does that mean?
I'll choke on those words anytime, dickhead. Like,
what?
No.
What's he talking? He's talking like someone who's coked up.
Yeah.
Like he's just delusions of like, we'll go worldwide, just like now.
And we were talking earlier about how Van Damme made a specific choice to do this very like raspy affectation with his voice, like
which I appreciate. He was trying to do something different,
than
what we're used to seeing.
It feels like it's the first character he's ever gotten to play that's not himself.
I
agree. Every other one's just been a martial artist, a guy who's a martial artist.
Yeah.
In this movie,
this happens to be a guy who's a martial artist plus.
Yeah,
right.
He's like, you're going to be a soldier, like in command of troops and everything. He's like, okay, that's different for me.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So while Guile's going through this spiel and saying coked up things, Cammy jumps into the back of the GNT van with Honda to start tracing the signal. And I'm wondering, does not the AN have military grade equipment right there that they can use to do this?
That's a fucking point. Although, I mean, first of all, she's not just going to be able to hop in there and trace a signal. Like, I assume you need equipment for that. But maybe it did have to be that it was their signal that had been jacked. That
makes sense. The GNT signal.
You need to patch into their truck. But I don't think you just hop in the truck and start doing shit.
The AN doesn't seem like quite the military organization either, which we'll
that's true.
To discuss. They seem to have. They're pretty cash strapped.
It's ragtag.
There's maybe only 100 of them.
The whole force
to fight the whole Civil War.
Right. So DJ back in the command center with Bison says that the signal's being traced. Bison tells Guile that he may think he's clever, but now he only has 3 days to hand over the $20 billion or the hostages are going to die, and the world's going to hold Guile responsible.
Doubtful.
Yeah.
False.
I think the whole Bison responsible.
Yeah, and then to show he's serious, he sets a giant timer that we're going to need in the movie.
Like, and he exclaims, "Victory!"
What?
This is the thing that struck me more this watch and as an adult watching it than anything else is that the entirety of this plot happens over 3 days. There's a lot that happens in 3 days' time.
There's a lot that happens in 1 hour and a half in this movie.
So
as he screams victory, his goons all start giving like a very black shirt looking Hail Bison, Heil Hitler salute thing. Guile tries to shout to the hostages that he's coming to rescue them. He also delivers a personal message like a total fucking idiot to someone named Charlie, telling him, "Hang on, buddy." Like, that's so stupid. That's
Charlie, we're coming for you.
You might as well say, "My wife and child are in there."
What? Be sure to let your enemy know that a close personal relation of yours is in his hostage.
Yeah, Bison immediately picks up on the fact that someone near and dear to Guile is there. He walks over to the soldier that was in the frame and rips off his dog tags, and the guy's named Carlos Blanca.
Which is quite the jump. Carlos is not often, like,
Charlie.
That's not a Charlie to me.
Right.
Also, fortunate that he was not the first two prisoners who got killed.
He already killed the Charlie.
Bison orders that Carlos Blanca be taken to the laboratory. And his goons cold cock Charlie and drag him away. We cut back to Guile and company where Cammy runs up and tells Guile they couldn't trace the signal, by which she means that she and the GNT van could not trace the signal.
Yes.
Guile insults her for being useless and walks off, leaving Cammy and Chung-Li to commiserate on whether...
Who did he say Cammy was useless or Chung-Li?
Basically, like, insinuates that Cammy is like, God, you're...
Oh, that sucks. He's negging her.
Yeah. And then, that leaves Cammy and Chun-Li to commiserate on whether Guile hates women or just journalists. There's a cut to some kind of underground fighting ring then. We see a shirtless dude with a sword in a barbed wire fighting pit about to get rowdy with Vega from the game, who is, to this point, the only person who looks like himself from the game.
Mm-hmm. I think, along with Zangief, this was like a brilliant bit of visual casting.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, this dude had the look, man. He was a beautiful human being as well.
Yeah, right.
Jay Tavare?
Yeah, Vega looks just like he does in the video game. Mm-hmm. So, as they're about to throw down, an Asian guy and a white dude are being escorted into the room. 12-year-old John immediately knew this was Ken and Ryu, excuse me, and was disappointed by what he saw.
Yeah, these are not the Ken and Ryu that we want. Fucking Ken is wearing a suede vest.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. And so this is Damian Chapa and Byron Mann, respectively. Byron Mann apparently had to audition like 6-something times to finally land the role of Ryu.
Oh, really? And he was he was running laps around Ken.
Yeah, Damian Chapa was not great in this, but Byron Mann was great as Ryu.
I recognize Chapa from, he was in Under Siege. He was just like the sort of naysaying sailor to, to Seagal.
And then Byron Mann most recently has been on that Altered Carbon show on Netflix.
He had like martial arts chops, right?
He was the real deal on that show, yeah.
I expected both of them to be bigger. Like, bulkier, more muscular, more Van Damme sized, if you will.
As the characters in the game go, they were like sort of on the small side, right? Both of them?
I mean, compared to like Zangief and other
those guys were massive, right? But even maybe smaller than Guile, I think.
But like cartoonishly large muscles on everybody, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, muscle
they were just dudes.
These guys, they just look like guys, and that's why 12-year-old me was like, "Oh man, really?"
And they were just mid conversation about something already. They were being escorted by this like Shadaloo leather daddy,
character.
I'd listen to that band.
Yeah, I would too. That should be a punk band if it's not. So, in the fight, the dude with the sword seems suddenly terrified of Vega and's like trying to crawl out of the ring, but to no avail because he gets electrocuted.
Yeah, he needs an electric fence.
In the crowd, Ken's asking Ryu if he's feeling more at ease now that they're off the street. Then Sword Fighter's limp body thuds to the mat just beside them, and Ryu sarcastically says, "Yeah, real safe." Their leather daddy guide runs back up and ushers them away as Vega strikes his pose. While the crowd like chants his name. The guide takes Ken and Ryu into a room where Victor Sagat, the Great West Studi, is waiting for him.
I fucking love that guy.
Je deteste how fucking cheesy Sagat looks in this movie. Like, it just like the way his suit is and stuff like that. I was just like, man. And I love West Studi.
He wasn't a 7'4" guy that he is in the games or whatever.
And why is Sagat wearing a damn suit?
Right. And by this point in the game lore, Ryu and Sagat are mortal enemies.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they are very familiar with each other.
Sagat was the
boss
primary nemesis of Street Fighter 1.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I never played the first one.
The big ass scar across his chest was delivered by one Ryu.
With a little
with his Shoryuken.
Which we don't get any of.
No.
We get a half-assed one from Ken.
Yeah, we do. It is lame.
We never get the words though.
No.
Shoryuken.
Sagat offers them booze and hookers, which they decline, so that they can get down to business.
Yeah, appetizers.
And they had like an Asian hooker and a white hooker, because we don't want to have any implication of interracial prostitution.
Oh
here.
my God.
One for each of you, dude. I love the bit about the like. Didn't anyone tell you there's a curfew? And he's like, no one tells me anything. And then the PA, like a helicopter flies by, there's a curfew in effect.
Well, and then
it's a good joke.
It is a great joke.
The second part of that is violators will be shot on sight.
Right.
Yeah, that is some fascist shit.
That's a steep penalty for breaking.
That's the AN.
Yeah.
Violators will be shot on sight.
We will kill you. Okay.
It's a peace organization who's going to fucking give her that peace with weapons.
Yeah. I like it. So Ken asks Sagat if he has the 100,000. Sagat motions, and a guy opens a case with stacks of cash. Sagat asks if they have the weapons. The boys say they do, but they're hidden. And this immediately, I'm like, these guys are fucking morons. So, but they say once we get outside with the money, we'll send the guns in, or we'll call you on this cell phone.
Yep.
Sagat seems to be okay with this absolutely ludicrously shitty arrangement, but then reveals that it's because he already knows where the guns are and that his men have brought them there.
Yep.
Sagat's guys all line up with the guns they've stolen and point them at Ken and Ryu.
It was a very European group of gangsters, of goons that he's got here in Shadaloo.
And then in what Amazon closed captioning calls a foreign language, Sagat appears to order his men to ready, aim, and fire.
Right.
And then the guys just start shooting tennis balls at Ken and Ryu with these like tennis ball guns who stand there taking it like morons.
Cartoonish sound effects.
Yeah.
Boing, boing.
And they're just like, they're hucksters. Like I hated that about Ken and Ryu. I still hate it, but like for the first, as a child, thinking like, these are the heroes that I wanted to be in the movie. And now they're like weird used car salesman.
I agree.
It is weird how the decision was made, like that Guile is going to be our hero.
The star.
Yeah. I think it's because they wanted Van Damme.
Yeah, and they wanted.
And who could he play? He can't really play Ryu.
Right.
He could have been a Ken.
He could have been Ken. I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
They did a lot of interesting things.
I would have loved to have been on the 3 or 4 meetings that they probably had, because that's probably all they could afford to have to try and decide what this movie was even going to be about. So anyway, everyone starts laughing at Ken and Ryu, and then the goons attack. Ken and Ryu are whipping that ass until they're subdued by people with actual guns.
Yeah.
Sagat seems to be impressed by how they were able to handle themselves with close combat.
Well, what's weird is, so the dude Choppa clearly had no skills.
No.
Why would you cast a no-name actor who's also not a martial artist?
Because he's never once going to fight.
Yeah.
I mean, he fights at the very end, but it's all extreme close-ups.
Yeah.
You can't actually see anything.
Well, then something that I read also was that the movie schedule had to get flipped, where the actors were going to have time to learn choreography and train, but because Raul Julia was so sick and he needed time to recuperate and put on some body weight, that they decided to
all the fighting to the beginning. Yeah, that was a big problem. And that's why I chalk up to like Wes Studi, also clearly had not done any type of martial arts training. But I think they were expecting like, oh yeah, we'll shoot our dialogue heavy shit, and then at the very end we'll film all the fighting when we've had a chance to like rehearse with the trainers and everything like that.
When you watch the Fellowship of the Ring, and that in the early scenes that Viggo filmed as Aragorn, he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing with a sword, and because he's been on set for a week.
Oh yeah, because they had already started production when he got brought in, right?
They threw him in, and he looks like he's never held a sword before.
Is that when he was also trying to do a different accent?
Yes. Before, none of us can.
He has no other master.
The ring has no other master. What? What are you doing? What is that thing you're doing with your voice?
Just do your normal voice,
Just talk, man. So as Ken and Ryu stare at each other, there's a hard cut to an overgrown temple in a jungle somewheres. This must be
big-ass snake.
Yeah, that was a huge snake. That's a huge snake. So
yeah,
this must
a huge
be
snake.
Bison's hideout, because we hard cut to Bison in the laboratory. He's chatting up Dr. Dalsim, asking...
Sporting a cape.
Yeah, of course, asking how's your research going today? What?
It's every movie lab, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's like just lots of beakers filled with bright colored liquids bubbling and
everything's
smoking.
kind of neon blue and shit.
Yeah.
We should note that Dalsim's wearing some kind of shackle harness, so he's there against his will.
Or he's just like real kinky.
and they turned him into a nerd.
Yeah.
Which was also
what was
upsetting.
his character's background? He was like a sort of a guru.
He's a yoga guru, and he's super stretchy bendy.
How is that? Is
yoga.
That because of something supernatural?
Because of his mind. He's had power over his mind.
Okay. Cool.
Power over his mind and spirit.
He's in the game trying to raise money for his village, even though he believes in peace.
Right, exactly.
Wait, that's his character in the game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the game, he joins the tournament so he can win some money for his village. He seems like one of the villagers from Temple of Doom.
But he wears a skull necklace. A necklace with little tiny skulls.
Yeah. There are some questions.
Monkey skulls or some shit. Or human or toddler skulls.
Yeah.
It's a dark sect of yoga. I don't know. Yoga fire.
Black yoga.
Flame. So Dalsim says, hey, shit's not really going well. That my science has been warped and corrupted and twisted to Bison's whim instead of peace. Bison says he wants to look at the patient.
Wait, did you like he's like, you know what? I tell you, after I've crushed my enemies, we'll see about getting you published. That's like pretty awesome. Solid. That's not for kids. That's not like a joke that's going to make kids laugh, but it is
Bison's
funny.
Medical journals.
I will say that for all this movie's many faults, and maybe D'Souza's not a great director, that his writing was good.
Yeah, some of the jokes really landed.
Yeah, they did land. And plus, Raul Julia was awesome. So Dalsim flips a switch, and a pod of some kind opens to reveal Charlie Blanca hooked up to all kinds of gizmos and doodads.
Yeah.
Bison tells Dalsim that he has a perfect soldier to experiment on. How he knows this, we're not sure. And Dalsim counters by saying that Bison's looking for a perfect killer. In the pod, Blanca is screaming and writhing in agony. Bison asks what Blanca's looking at in the headset he's wearing, and we see he's being forced to watch videos of like wartime murders and shit.
It's like the inverse of A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
try to
exactly.
breed the violence out of him by showing him nice things.
It was like some Faces of Death shit.
Yeah, it was dark.
Like, I think that was legit execution
Yeah, no, I think it was too.
And there was like a corpse hanging, like it had been hung by the neck. It's like
for a movie
it's real.
For a movie intended for children, there's a lot of really dark things that you get to see on screen.
Agreed.
Yeah, I love Bison. Merely educational software.
Yeah, Bison wonders why Blanca's responding in like such a wuss, and Dalzim says, unlike you, he's not psychotic. Bison grabs Dalzim by the throat, because that's his thing,
that's his thing.
Lifts him up off the ground, telling him that he takes a risk being so brazen and that he shouldn't test him further. He also tells Dalzim that once Blanca's brain has been corrupted into the perfect killing machine, that his loyal scientists will start on his body, whatever that means.
Are we to assume that Bison has been taking some of these same like
the mutagen
and that's some Ninja Turtle shit right there
to make him so strong?
Maybe
because he's insanely strong,
right? Yeah,
and that's not humanly possible to throw another human being like that.
No, I agree.
No.
And so
choke slammed him like across the lab.
I guess like that. On this watching, I felt like I was thinking that like maybe he experimented a little bit on himself first.
He absolutely could be, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is the character of Bison is supposed to be like superhumanish in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
He uses force lightning after all.
He does.
Yeah.
So
we'll get there.
Yeah, we cut to the fighting ring where they're playing what sounds like a mashup of Ravel's Bolero with Carmen's first act aria from the opera of the same name. Sagat names Ryu the challenger against the champion Vega. In the stands, Ken comments on how popular Vega seems to be with the crowd. Sagat says that this is because he's the greatest cage fighter since someone called the Iron Fist. Ken asks what happened to the Iron Fist, and Sagat's like, I'm the Iron Fist.
He retired.
Idiot.
It became me.
He became me.
Is that canon? Was the Iron Fist like a fort? Was that?
I don't know.
Not that I remember.
I don't remember it either. I also don't remember his name being Victor, which is not a very Thai name.
Yeah.
No, they made that up for the movie.
His name was Saget, like Bob Saget in the game.
What if his name had been Bob Saget?
Yeah. Bob Saget. Yeah. Robert Saget.
Tiger.
Yeah.
Robert Saget.
Robert Sagat. They missed a real opportunity there.
I know. In the ring, Vega removes his mask, smiles like a dumbass, and then does a flip and an air punch.
But that was like the real Vega shit, right?
Yeah.
I love that. They should have leaned more into like the video game tropes.
I 100% approved of it.
When that shit happens, it brought a smile to my face.
Yeah. Ryu doesn't seem to be bothered as he makes eyes with the girl who's been assigned with the job of ripping off his shirt. I love the bit where the girl holding the Vega sign chucks it away because she sees that Ryu's just as ripped.
And Vega was hurt.
Yeah, Vega's like, how could you?
I mean, I guess that this like helps us out. I mean, it probably didn't do them any favors that in the 90s everyone was wearing big, billowy, bright shirts like assholes.
Yeah. A woman with a pillow offers Ryu a sword, which he starts whipping around like a goddamn professional before slinging at a post behind Vega.
Dude, I read that actor Byron Mann had like never trained with swords before, and they just like they gave him a little crash course to like be able to do a little something. But then they had him on set like doing it with a real sword, which is fucking dangerous as hell. Yeah, I don't think the throwing of it, of course, was like something controlled, but like. Just swinging a real blade around like that, you could just easily slice yourself.
How many times as a child did you play with some nunchucks and hit yourself in the nuts? Every time.
Yep.
Literally every time.
Yeah, literally hit myself in the face every single time, So Vega starts to go for his mask and claw, but Sagat motions for him not to. Like, no, down boy.
Yeah, the crowd was like chanting, no weapons, no weapons.
So the crowd starts counting down, and just as Ryu and Vega are about to get into
the 60-second countdown.
That's too much.
Started.
Yeah.
They sped it up for the movie, but it was like a full time around.
He has a whole minute to think about what you're going to do. So right as they're about to get down to it, a fucking tank or some such busts through a wall.
Yeah, it's got 2 full ballistic missiles mounted on the top of it.
Nuclear warheads.
Yeah. And it's so Vega and Ryu leap out of the ring. People are running everywhere. The tank comes to a stop in the ring, and out pops Guile, who lets everyone know, you're all under arrest.
I think the presence of the tank was like at the insistence of Hasbro, who apparently had all these shit ton of surplus G.I. Joe tanks that they were like, you got to have a tank in the movie because we got to move some of this merchandise.
Okay.
This is as close as we ever get to a street fight.
Yeah, exactly.
So we never got a single punch.
It gets interrupted.
This is our moment, and it's past.
So we cut to sometime the next day. Guile's calling a staff meeting to order.
There was that weird, like, good morning, Shadaloo.
It's like supposed to be like...
Dude, the dude who they had doing that PA stuff was like the real life
The Good Morning Vietnam guy?
From the real life story of the Good Morning Vietnam guy.
That's awesome.
Pretty rad.
That's very, very cool.
And the introduction of Captain Sawada was in this scene.
Why? Who?
In his mangled dialogue. There was not a single scene he was in that he didn't derail the scene.
He makes one video game presence. Do you know what it's for?
It was at Street Fighter the movie, the game.
Street Fighter the movie, the game.
Oh my
But he was
God.
also in a lot of the cartoons, apparently.
Didn't that game look more like Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, it was
like the real actors. Photos.
Stop motion of the actors like a Mortal Kombat.
Oh, disaster. So in the meeting, a guy jumps up. This is Kawada. It says that his team's ready, but that they need to know how they're making the attack. Cammy says that they think Bison's in the River Delta region. Suddenly, the guy who had been serving coffee jumps up on the table with a knife and charges Guile, who sweeps the leg, punches him in the throat, and then slings him off the table.
Yes.
Cammy, for no reason that I can discern, rips open the guy's shirt to reveal a tattoo that's apparently the symbol of the Shadaloo Tong.
A tattoo drawn on unquestionably with ballpoint
just
pin.
Moments before.
It was a ballpoint pin.
Oh my God.
Sure.
But you're right. Why would her first move be to rip his shirt open?
It reminded me of the scene in Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade where Qasim opens his shirt to reveal the Order of the Cruciform Sword.
Ooh, yeah.
But I was like, but why?
It reminded me of Tango and Cash when they found like the dead body. They were set up and he just ran and ripped his shirt open to see like he's wearing a wire. And it's like, why are you touching the body?
And why do you as an organization want to tattoo up all your people so that everyone's certain they know that they were one of the bad guys?
But it's also just a generic, like a snake wrapped around a dagger.
Right.
Like that's not an uncommon tattoo.
Right. So the camera focuses on the tattoo, and as the camera pulls back, we see that the tattoo is on Sagat, who is in jail smoking with Vega hovering uncomfortably near.
Vega, who's crafted himself a bamboo claw for prison.
Right.
Yes.
Bamboo
Where did
claw.
he get that shit?
He got a lot of twine and bamboo and knives in prison.
Yeah.
I feel like Vega must have been one of these late edition characters because he doesn't even talk. They're just like, you know what, we want Vega in there. And they're like, okay, he can just be hanging around, standing behind Sagat at all times.
Maybe he had even less charisma in delivering lines than Ken.
It could be, yeah.
So Vega gives a signal, and everyone at this long table gets up, leaving only Ken and Ryu. Then we cut back to Guile's meeting. He's deduced that if Sagat is running guns against Bison, then he must know where Bison's hiding, and that all they need to do is infiltrate the gang. Cammy insinuates that's not going to be easy. And I don't even know what the fuck's going to happen.
I don't know if that's a logical leap to make.
No.
Like, if he's selling him guns, then he must know where the base is.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Why would that?
Why
that
not,
doesn't necessarily.
Why not drop off the guns at a third-party unnamed location?
Yeah, it's not a.
You would say,
logical.
meet me at my hidden base.
Yeah.
Sure you would.
But I'm trying to view all Guile's scenes through like the lens of a cokehead, where it's like
That's amazing.
Like this shit sounds like the amped up ramblings. He must know where the base is. Like, let's go.
Oh God.
What?
And for the name, like for Guile meaning like clever, he's not.
No.
True.
So back in AN lockup, dudes are bowing up on Kid and Ryu, who start beating ass. The ruckus draws Guile and team to a window. He asks T-Hawk, played by Greg Rainwater.
One Tony Hawk.
Wearing an unexplained bandage on his head like the whole movie.
Yeah.
Weird. He just had a big old bandage on his head. I thought it was just like to make it where he was visibly recognizable amongst all the other anonymous
maybe so.
soldiers.
He's an unknowable face until
he really is. He's just sort of an average-looking guy.
He's just back there.
So he asked T-Hawk, who I refer to as T-Hawk throughout this, Thawk, who the two guys are who are cleaning house, and T-Hawk says it's Ken Masters and Ryu Hoshi, and then Guile orders the pair patched up and brought to him.
Yeah, if Sagat won't trust new friends, maybe he'll trust new enemies.
That sentence makes no sense.
Fucking cokehead logic,
That's
man.
dumb.
That's what I'm saying.
I wish everyone would just...
The closer we are to danger, the further we are from harm. It's like that
doesn't make sense to me, but then again, you are very small. And that's where the action's going to close down in this one.
Mercifully.
I'm just breathless in anticipation for what's going to happen next. How are intrepid heroes, and which hero? Who's a hero? Who's a villain?
One of our ensemble heroic cast.
Oh my God,
who will make it? Who will survive to the end? Everyone.
Literally everyone but the bad guy.
No, even he. There was a post credit
that's true.
scene.
That's
He's
true.
not dead.
That's true. Not one
we
person.
didn't know that yet.
Oh shit! Spoiler alert.
Oh fuck. Anyway, we hope you guys have enjoyed listening to us ramble about Street Fighter as much as we've enjoyed talking about it, because it really is. It's a lot of fun. The movie is fun.
Oh, it's great to banter about.
Yeah. And we hope you guys will join us next time. Also, shout out to our friends at the Last of the Action Heroes podcast
Yeah,
network.
we didn't forget about you.
Yeah, we love you guys. We hope you're enjoying this. It's got something for everyone.
Yeah, we'll be back.